Bottle pop, truth drop, welcome to the show. Champagne secrets, let your power grow. Every video, spark, ignite your inner light. Raise a glass to the future, shining bright. Empowerment is the code, we decode. Unravel mysteries, life's own secret load. Step by step, tap in, find your flow. With champagne secrets, you're gonna glow.
Unlock the strength within you, watch it bloom. Life's a canvas, painted every room. Through ups and downs, cheers to what's next. Champagne secrets, life's complex. Drop, welcome to the show. Champagne secrets, let your power grow. Every video, spark, ignite your inner light. Raise a glass to the future, shining bright. Empowerment is the code, we decode. Unravel mysteries, life's own secret load. Step by step, tap in, find your flow. With champagne secrets, you're gonna glow. Unlock the strength within you, watch it bloom. Life's a canvas, painted every room. Through ups and downs, cheers to what's next. Champagne secrets, life's complex.
Second and let's talk. Yo, DJ, roll that beautiful champagne footage.
Confidants, what is your profession? See my friend, nothing but soldiers and empowerment over here.
Pop that cork, let it rain, living lavish, no restraint.
Can I be yelling out gang gang? Do you gang bang? I be outside with my gang gang. Chunk your gang signs if you gang bang. I be outside with my gang. Can I be yelling out gang gang? Do you gang bang? I be outside with my gang gang. Chunk your gang signs if you gang bang. I be outside with my gang. Can I be yelling out gang gang? Do you gang bang? I be outside with my gang gang. Chunk your gang signs if you gang bang. I be outside.
Champagne gang, fizz fam, and confidants. Babies, welcome to the Champagne City. Gang, gang, throw some champagne glasses, some champagne bottles, some soda pop, whatever you got that jiggle, shake, and fizz. Drop it in the chat for me to let me know you are in the house because we are getting ready to get into the show. And I'm going to drop the links because I want this to be a joint discussion. We're going to do a panel thing. So here's the thing, right? If you want to come up on the panel as we go through the information of this case, I want you to drop 2 champagne bottles in the chat, and that'll let me know who wants to come up. I do have some slides we're going to be going through. I do have just a whole bunch of information, and we're going to break down a few things because I think a lot of times what happens when cases like this pop up, a lot of times what happens is we hear one thing and we run with it. And we automatically make what we hear factual instead of actually researching and finding out the facts of the case. We listen and we don't actually listen for clarity. We listen for what we can run with. So we're going to get into it. Okay, I see a champagne. Hold on one second. Let me drop this. Because we need to have a real conversation. Plus, this is why I keep saying our youth are in trouble. Because these were babies. 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 You barely 35. You still a baby. I don't. I I just don't understand. I don't. I dropped the link in the chat if you want to come up. I'm gonna give it just a second before we go ahead and get into it and start the show. What I do want to do, because it's late night, we gonna do something we haven't done in a while. We are going to do a bit of encouragement because some of you need to be encouraged. Hmm. All right, listen to this for our positivity and affirmations. All the world is a stage, and we are not just players, we are purpose driven forces with divine assignments. Each of us has a lane, personal, precise, and powerful. But here's the truth: you can't drive your destiny swerving between your calling and someone else's spotlight. Oh, clock it. If your lane feels tight, irritating, or frustrating, it's not because it's wrong, it's because you haven't fully shown up. Hear me. What if the lane you were designed for has been waiting, ready to receive you, doors wide open, but it doesn't recognize you? You're still showing up as yesterday's version of yourself, unprepared for today's elevation. Oh, wait. Every new level demands a new you. Trying to force the old you into a higher place isn't ambition, it's trespassing, it's sabotage. So wake up, lock in, know your lane, own it, accelerate, then push past every limit they tried to place on you. And the ones you placed on yourself. Oh, that's tea right there. Because purpose doesn't wait for hesitation. That is so true. The world is a stage. You got to own who you are and step into it. I did drop the link, and that was a word of encouragement that came from one of our very own progressive ones. So thank you absolutely for sending me that, and I'm sharing it with the people. So we're getting into the unaliving of this young man named T Hood. Tavin Hood is his real name, but he's a rapper out of Atlanta. And I want to get into the details of what happened. Now, the first thing that we're going to go over, because I said a lot of times we really don't pay attention to what we should be paying attention to in a situation. We hear one thing and then we just take off and run with it. So, hold on, let me put this on the side so I can see. There. Hmm. All right. Welcome in, Zach.
What up?
How are you?
I'm all right. I
That's
ain't, I ain't,
good.
I ain't as sleepy tonight.
Because you fell asleep on us the other night.
Man,
That's all right, though, because we was on for like 3 hours. So it's cool. It's cool. Thank
okay.
you for joining. But the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that we want to get into, right, is the difference between a domestic dispute versus assault and abuse. See, here's the problem, right? Because when this came out, and if you look online right now, you'll hear a whole bunch of people talking about, well, if he was abusing her, if he was doing it, when was that stated? When was that stated? According to what was put out there, and if you know me, then you know I run with facts. We don't give opinion like facts. You are allowed to have your opinion on a situation. I have my opinion on this. You have your opinion on this. But I cannot come out and make my opinion fact because it's my opinion and just run with the narrative. So I looked up what's the difference between a domestic dispute and abuse because this was labeled as a domestic dispute. So it says a domestic dispute doesn't automatically mean there was a pattern of abuse. It just means the drama was in house between people who knew each other personally. It could have been a screaming match, a shoving match, or something much worse. The police use it to categorize before they've sorted out the full story. So we can't run with this narrative that he was abusing her when we don't know that. It just says domestic dispute. A dispute can be anything. It can be a simple argument. It can be a disagreement. But we're going to go through the details of this. And as we go through, if y'all got welcome to the stage, Nisi.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey girl, how are you
What up,
today?
nigga?
What's going on, Zach?
Hey,
I just want to say this before we even get started tonight. I want to say anything that we are talking about is for entertainment purposes only. And all things are alleged until we really know the real of what's really going on. But sometimes it don't take a rocket scientist to really know what's really going on in front of our own eyes. But we're going to put that disclaimer out there.
Thank you, Nisi. I meant to add that slide too, and I knew it was something I was forgetting. But thank you for reminding me of that. What do y'all feel about this narrative of abuse based on it saying, do you think sometimes we just overthink things or we just jump in without getting clarification?
I think that happens a lot, especially amongst our melanated people. It happens a lot because a person can get so excited. You know how they did the teaching when we were growing up, they would tell the line the whole class up, and they'll tell the very first person a statement. By the time it get down to the end, the last person of the class, it be the whole nother thing said. So I think a lot of
Right,
times we should check and see if things are right first before you beat and got mad and caught a case. Not and the whole time it's something totally different or had nothing to do with what you thought. Because you can't make an ass out of me and you. You can't assume all the time.
right.
hmm
Zach, did you have anything?
yeah, I just got in my head. It's like a lot of times you know how when, you get us and, one person start running and they see you, we see them running through a crowd
And
and
everybody else
everybody
start
start
running too?
running.
Yeah,
That's how it be. I think that's especially nowadays, people just, man, forget the facts, forget, what's right in front of your face. You see they like people jump on the domestic dispute. All right. Like you said, that could mean anything. But if a few people put out there that it's abuse or whatever it may be, everybody run with it.
right.
Case in point, uh, the Diddy situation. You know what I mean? It's
Uh-huh.
looking like he was just freaky, but they done made it to be he was a monster. Now, there's other things like that. I'm just using that as an example of there's so many things that's been said, and there's still no concrete evidence of what really happened.
Right,
And before I can I have to, for me to really believe something, I need to get both sides. I need to get all the facts before I jump out there because I don't want to be, looking like no fool, you know?
right.
I totally agree, Zach, because nowadays you especially 2025, you have to come with receipts. You just can't put something out there and then think it's up in the air and it's stuck. That don't go for everything, especially when it comes down to real life and things that's going to affect you and your family. So the best, if you're going to be out here getting on this internet spreading your business all around town, you got internet investigators that's going to get down to the bottom of it. Even if you feel like it ain't the truth, please pay attention to what you put out here,
Hmm.
because it will come
Right.
back to you.
Welcome to the stage, Progressive One.
Thank you so very much. Hello, everyone.
What's going down?
Hey, Progressive.
Hey, I I totally agree with what everyone was saying, and I don't know again where the breakdown happened. I remember when situations would occur uh, culturally across cultural lines. When a situation would happen, this is the way that it was like completely nullified, which we don't do anymore. I'm going to get all the parties involved together, and then we're going to talk about it. But if I
Hmm.
talk about it over here, I talk about it over here. Now I got to wrestle between the two. No, we're going to get everybody together because it's
Right.
always his side, her side, and as they say, and then
The
there's the
truth.
truth.
I feel you. Definitely.
But
So,
but for go ahead. My apologies.
go ahead.
I don't know why it is so many times in our culture, especially considering like there's some there we only got who we got. At the end of the day, if something else comes to this United States of America, all we got is us as a people. But we are so quick to rush to judgments on each other. Why? Now, if a person is guilty, that's going to come out. But the immediate jump to is like for the worst case scenario.
And you know that that's so true because what happens is you can tarnish someone's reputation on a rumor, an assumption, or someone just running with a story without having all the facts. The facts are, and that's what we're dealing with. We're going to get into some speculation, but it's going to be speculation. It's not going to be facts, and it's not going to be put out there as facts. It's going to be put out there as this is what they are alleging. Now, see, if we would cover stories like that and put stuff out there like that, then we wouldn't run the risk of consistently hurting someone else or harming someone else because you're saying this young man was abusing this girl. Nothing that has been put out has said that. All people heard was domestic dispute and not fully understanding what a domestic dispute means. You automatically coin that to mean assault or abuse. That's not the case.
You know,
I think what we got to start doing is doing more research. Like we said in the other video, when I don't know if you guys saw the video I put out on the T app with the allegations going around with a Lipton tea serial killer and with a baby that was unalived, and it was all misinformation. But what happened? So one person put it out there, and everybody picked it up and ran with it without saying, oh, "Okay, let me go search this on Google.
hmm
Let me see if the major outlets are covering this before we run with it." But if it's viral and a certain saying is viral at the time, that's what we generally run with. So all one person had to do is come out and say, oh, well, if he was abusing her, then I understand. Where was that said at? I wish I
That's
could
where the
show the clip.
saying.
It's
That's
not
that's
what
where
you
the
know,
saying
it's
goes.
what
If
you
if
can
was a
prove in
fifth, we'll
court.
all be drunk. That's where that saying goes. If was a fifth, we'll all be drunk. Like Champagne said, it's a difference between a disturbance and a domestic call. It's a difference.
now
So yeah.
were there any with this particular were there any like news footage? Because I asked that because I know there are times where people will take a news account also, and the media, the local news. I've seen stories, and I had classes in high school, but I've seen as recent as a couple years ago where the news will even do this. They will you will see they will be showing a video on screen of something that's happening, but the news reporter is telling you a whole different situation going on. They'll be this man may be going into a building. They'll say he's running down the street,
Yeah.
and
In this
people will
situation,
run with that. So
in
where are
this
they getting this?
situation, there's not a lot of news. Well, there's news coverage on the fact that he was unalive. But
Okay,
as far as full details, and we're gonna get into all of
of
it, but
how?
as far as full details, it's not out there.
Okay,
There's no video footage. There's nothing,
okay.
nothing, which eh, to me is a little odd in itself. But um, we're gonna get into exactly who he was. So who? This is rapper T Hood out of Atlanta. His real name is Tevin Hood, and he's 33 years of age. Where and when this happened? This apparently happened at his home in Gwinnett County, the Lilburn area just outside Atlanta, around 7 p.m. on Friday, August the 18th, is what they're saying. Hold on. Somebody pop back in. Uh, Let me continue. So
That's
this
it.
did happen at
Is
the
that
house.
August the 8th? Okay, August the 8th or the 18th? Oh, 8th. It's the 8th. Okay, okay, okay. My bad. I thought I
Uh-huh.
had, okay.
So as far as we know right now, literally, the individuals that was in the house was him and Kelsey. We're gonna get into it because everything else is kind of again speculation. So, what was the response and the outcome? The police were dispatched for a domestic dispute. Now, this is the phrase that has been used from the police actual report: domestic dispute. Not abuse, not assault, not responding to a fight, none of that. They were dispatched for a domestic dispute and they found Hood wounded. First aid was rendered. He was transported to a hospital but succumbed to his injuries. I have some questions, but again, all they're releasing is it was just a domestic dispute. They didn't say where it stemmed from. They didn't say how it started. None of this was said. Only thing is domestic dispute. He was found wounded. That's it. The investigation status, it was ruled a homicide. Now they did detain one person. It does not say if they were officially arrested, and it does not say who that one person is. Only that someone was detained. No motive or anything has been confirmed. Now, one of the weird things that people are kind of saying about this case is there was like a precursor that was really spooky. And I'm gonna see if I'm gonna try to pull up the picture. Hold on. But there's a picture, or should I say there was an Instagram post or video that he did a few weeks prior to this. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, let me pull it up. Mm, Okay, here we go. So this is the picture of the video that he actually shared of himself um as a ghost in a cemetery. And this was allegedly a few weeks prior to this happening. Yeah, we got to be so careful. So careful. You know, there's a reason why the Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue. Really a reason why we are constantly being told to speak life over ourselves and stop speaking negativity. A lot of the stuff that we go through and we deal with, we speak it over our own lives
Mm-hmm.
instead of being optimistic and speaking positively, thinking positively. Everything is automatically negative. And sometimes we be speaking situations over our own self. I'll never forget my daughter ended up in a horrible car accident. Horrible car accident. Her car, the tire on her car blew out and she slid under a semi truck. It was only by the grace of God that she wasn't unalived because her car, when it blew out, it hit the side of the overpass. And this was a bridge overpass. Hit the side, bounced off of it, spent in a circle, and slid under the semi truck on the passenger side. Had it been her driver's side, she would have been killed like instantly right then. And I remember her saying about a week prior, she had told her teacher that she couldn't come to school or something like that because she had a car accident. And she said when she came to in that car accident, when, in a hospital after she was medicated, it made her think of what she had said a week before. We got to be so careful. And that's to me, that's one of the dangers with a lot of this music, this violent music, this overly sexual music. And we love a lot of it. We love it. We do. However, a lot of us are so spiritually open and so spiritually sensitive that we absorb a lot of that stuff and make it a part of us. Uh, hold on, somebody else. How we got Zach twice? Okay.
Oh, this thing is it's tripping out.
Okay, you in now, Zach.
Yeah. Now I'm echoing.
I don't hear echo.
Well, I hear myself.
Oh, hold on. Because your other one's still on the stage. That's why.
Oh, and I'm only on one device.
You hear yourself now?
Uh-uh.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay. You leaving your camera on, you trying to give them something they can feel.
They can turn it off. That's great.
I was gonna say, don't he know he up on the screen looking like sexy, sexy, like he trying to do a little commercial.
I forgot it was on my bed. That's crazy.
Oh,
Thanks,
But
man.
we got to be careful with what we speak over our lives and the stuff that we actually do. We be fast forwarding our life and don't even know it because
Mm,
we don't think that deep. We think it's just words. We think it's just actions.
mm-mm.
It's just a part of the song. It's just a part of the music. Come on now. Think deeper than that.
we we have to get back to the place, and I do say we have to get back to the place to where we respect life. To
Mm,
actually wake up in the morning and be grateful, because there's a bunch of people who will go to bed tonight and not even wake up. So when you wake up in the morning, A, be grateful. And then on top of that, be respectful and respect life. I don't care what everybody and anybody else is doing around you, you respect life. And that's how you'll have the life that you want to have. But a lot of times when instances like this happen, especially in our culture, we internalize it and immediately allow it to put us into a place. When these situations happens, like we already first said, first we address the facts. After we address the facts, Let me keep it pushing, and everything is going to take care of itself. But when we allow these things to creep in and then begin to speak things like Empress said, the power and words, this always happening in our community. We ain't gonna never change. All of these things are words that have power. How about saying, man, like, what can I do to make this the last time that something like this happens, or this is going to be the last time this happens? But that's not the go-to, because people unfortunately have a unhealthy addiction to trauma and all type of things that would fall under the umbrella of it for some strange reason. You say you want a better life, but you want to attract things to you that will bring down your life.
Well, you better give us a word on today. Because definitely we got to start speaking life and encouragement and positivity instead of drawing to us the very thing that we keep saying that we want to reflect, which is the negativity. So while he had on the ghost outfit that I just showed you, according to the video, he spoke chilling lines like, "Hello, are you still alive? All you have to do is die. Just die today." So his fans now find this tragically prophetic. And this ain't the first time this has happened. Like, we keep seeing this time and time again where you hear like these rappers are unalived and then they go back to a lyric in a song they just released that almost predicted how they were gonna die. We got to stop speaking negativity over our lives and over the lives of those connected to us. And I think a lot of the music, and I don't know if y'all will agree, but you can let me know. But I think a lot of the music is really prophetically almost causing these young people's downfall, because this what you're singing about. Like, you're speaking this over your life.
And then on top of that, as far as talking about the power in words and having a respect for life, we have to be respectful for our lives also in the instance of protecting our energy. No, I can't hold a conversation with any and everybody. No, any and everybody can't put their hands on me. No, any and everybody can't be in my company. A lot of these things happen when they happen because people are not careful with the company and the people that they allow themselves to put their lives in their hands. Every time you go to someone's house, you have to think, is this individual respectful of my life? When I put myself in a relationship, is this individual respectful of my life? If I put myself in this church, is this individual respectful of my life? If not, when a jam comes, such as this, be it a misunderstanding, be it an argument, you may lose your life all because you did not choose correctly and were not careful and respectful of your life.
How do you think we get a generation, and not even just a generation, because you have people who are our ages as well, who are caught up in the magic
Hmm.
of the lyrics, the music, the lifestyle, and all of that. How do you get us to understand that maybe we need to rethink these choices? Maybe the problem is what we're putting in us. And that's what's causing what's coming out of us. Because if I listen to, there's an old saying that says, what you feed the most is what will
Hmm.
reign the most.
Hmm.
So if I'm constantly listening to murder rap, murder rap, murder rap, murder rap, if I'm constantly rapping murder rap, murder rap, murder rap, do you think inevitably I'm kind of rapping and speaking over myself my own demise?
Yes, because if you get into a jam, that first thought in your mind is going to be to murder. There's a song out here by YMW Melly, and the chorus literally goes, I have murder on my mind.
I would go.
Okay.
I would go. I would say, you know, spiritually speaking, it's about identity who we know we are. And I think naturally it's the same thing. It's about identity. You go back um, to the, especially around the civil rights movement, that era. And right after that, our leaders from the church to the community were, especially in our culture, were having us esteem ourselves in spite of our situation, what we were going through, that we were somebody. Like Jesse Jackson, you are somebody, and the Black Panther Party, and in churches, we Martin Luther King, and all our leaders from, and not just the prominent ones, but even the local ones, we were being taught in class settings from children on up to that we were kings, that we were queen, that we were somebody, that we were worth something. And we had an identity, no matter what was going on at home, our poverty, our discrimination, our the racism or whatever, we rose above it. We, as a people, we rose above it because we were getting that positive affirmation. But then when these other factors come in, the drugs and the crime and which were weeds planted by an enemy in our communities, it stole from us, it eroded our identity in us. So now we see people finding their identity and all these different, and these entertainers who are on the payroll of the one who sought our demise. You're gonna draw, if you don't have an identity, you're gonna draw to something that's gonna give you that identity. And it comes through a beat, it comes through a laugh, it comes through horror, whatever the entertainment medium that you enjoy, your identity is going to come through that if you don't know who you are.
I feel you. Niecy?
I'm gonna say this. First off, these granddaddies need to take off these ripped jeans and put their suspenders on. Let's start there. Okay, you can't keep on thinking you finna be 71 and you got a little 32-year-old talking about some, can I get some money? Popping her gum and weave sticking all on top of her head and they didn't even put it in right. No, we need to change a lot of things because it starts with us as a people, ourselves. Before we can even talk about the people who done got their own little land over there and got a little white, we don't care about none of that. We need to be worried about us, how we are presenting ourselves out here and growing hate amongst each other. For what reason and why? Because why is you worried about what the next person doing when you could be doing your own thing and doing what you need to do? If you doing that, you can't be worried about what the next person doing. So we need to start looking at ourselves first before we can even start looking at somebody else, because somewhere along the line there is a lot of treachery going on because we ain't got our shit together. Too many people beefing with each other. It's always rumors, it's always this. We got enough stuff on our hands. A lot of this stuff is just a distraction, so you cannot pay attention to what you really need to be doing as a melanated person to get your life right.
Nisi, we putting you over to suspender ministry.
I definitely, to what Zach was saying.
Amen.
I think MLK definitely, did his thing respectfully. For those who subscribe, me personally, controversial to say, I was more of a Malcolm type of individual. I think we spend as a culture too much time begging. I think not just culturally, I think across cultural lines, we spend too much time begging for help instead of coming together and actually being each other's help. If all of the people who said they had an issue with the government, had an issue with Black injustice, had an issue with Whatever your cause may be that is deemed legitimate, if we band together and we band together, then we could stop it. But so many people are saying, "Man, what about me and my side?" But and instead of thinking of the whole, because at the end of the day, if something happened in the United States of America, I bet ain't nobody gonna be saying, "Hey, don't if they get hurt, don't help me because you white, or don't help me because you black." And that's the same instance in this life. You got to be able to put those cultural differences aside, even if that individual does not like you, but they could bring change to your community. You take what's needed from them to make a change in your community, and you leave them over there on the other side. This
This
game,
game.
as they always say, it's not checkers, it's chess. We're playing the game to win, and we're going for the checkmate. So we can't be concerned about pawns when we're trying to get to the other side of the board.
Yeah. And, see,
Say that. Say
and you
that.
mentioned them too. Like that's why them two, towards the end of especially the end of Malcolm's life, and they Martin and Malcolm, they were coming. They were forming. They were about to come together because both of them saw that um there were chinks or holes in their theory. So on Martin's side, when he switched from race to class, that's when they said, "Oh no, he got to go because now he's moved over into another level. He moved over into our level. He's gonna because when you read his response to the Vietnam War, you'll see why they had to get rid of him. But then on the flip side, Malcolm, when he went over to Mecca and he saw, wait a minute, hold on, I'm seeing Muslims from all shades of people, including white. Then his whole foundation was shook. So he had to reorganize and his thinking on his approach as well. You see what I'm saying? And it was kind of the same thing that Martin was going through. So, it's still about that identity. Both of their identities were shook by different things. And that's why they had to, but they started to start thinking in agreement because they didn't want them to. For many years, the media was pitting them against each other. But once they started seeing what was being done and they saw, okay, hold on, no, our identity is being shot at. Let's come together. But they knew they couldn't do that. You know what I mean? So it's all about that identity. I think that's where we're at now, and that's how that's come to this story now. That's how we get to this point because everyone wants to be heard, everyone wants to be relevant, everybody wants to have a voice because or that 5 minutes of fame because they don't know who they are.
I want to piggyback off Zach. I want to say this. Like, there's no way in the world that you guys don't recognize now, and it's 2025, that they always put us against each other because they don't want us to know the magic that we have. And when I say magic, I mean within. Unity is the most strongest thing in the world. If we were all unified, man, we can make the world move. But see, that is the reason why they keep this black and white thing going, to keep us not knowing that if we unify, the government wouldn't even be able to get away with a lot of things that allegedly so-called people are saying. What moved me today is when me and Champagne was going over the Katrina thing. And when I sat there and saw that lady who said she lived right by the levees and heard it go boom and all that water come rushing through. Do you know that congressman kept questioning her in so many ways to try to get that lady to trip up and say she didn't hear the boom first? Because that boom meant, as far as she was concerned, soon as it got blew up, here come all this water. Then now, years and years later is when you get the truth. We are tired of getting the truth years and years later, when a lot of us already know the truth.
Yeah.
We need to unify.
And that's
Now hold on because I want to make sure. I want y'all now. Everything that y'all said was good, and I appreciate the Black History moment. But I want y'all
Mhm.
all to take all of that and bring it back to this young man making these statements before he passed away a week later, being in the cemetery with a ghost outfit on, saying, "Hello, are you still alive? All you have to do is die. Just die today." Literally, almost prophetically speaking his own unaliving.
We've been
I think
seeing this
he,
time and
I think
time
he,
again, people speaking on how the industry runs the industry. Now, you got your conspiracy theories, you got this. Now, let's talk about what's going on in real time and what's being shown right in our face, from the videos to everything.
see,
That's
this is
all
the
I'm going to
thing.
say.
This is the thing. To answer your question, yes, I think he did prophetically speak this upon himself, but also I think he had company in doing it as well. Because when individuals seen this video, if anyone that was looking at it was like me, was first, this individual A is dressed like a ghost. Two, this place in the individual is in the place where death happens. Three, this individual is in the place where he could say even something as simple as, "Man, he gonna probably end up being a ghost." And whatever comments came after that, then that put that on top of that and then brought it to fruition in that young man's life, I do believe, because he had all that energy towards what he had put out. Because who in their right mind goes into a cemetery and stands there with a ghost outfit on?
Anybody else?
Yeah. I would, like this case said, they were called for a domestic abuse. I mean, a domestic, whatever, how they say it, a domestic, how they say they came, a domestic disturbance, right?
Dispute.
Domestic dispute. He was found injured, you know, um, with this ghost thing. Like that was a couple weeks later. I mean, earlier. I'm curious as to know how he even like what was his career like prior? Was he always on this dark type um
No, but
vein, or
he's a
did
rapper. You got
he's
to
a
think
rapper?
about it. A
No,
lot of these rappers rap death. Everything is shoot 'em up, bang bang, shoot 'em up, bang bang, shoot 'em up.
yeah,
So that's a part of the gimmick.
but you can like Nisi was just saying, some stuff just don't like Jay-Z and Kanye. They started, they would, they was gangster rappers, so to speak, whatever, street rappers, whatever. But then they went into this gothic types thing where it was real dark. Then they went back a little, you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, yes, these rappers, that's that drill music. But
Right.
to go out
Man,
here,
wouldn't y'all agree
what
that
he,
evil
I'm
has to show itself for it to work? Evil has to show itself. In order for it to work, it's going to show you what type of person or what type of theme or whatever the issue is, it's going to show you what it is. Now, if you go along and still agree with it, that means you're welcoming evil. You done let them in. That is another form of I let you in.
right. What I'm getting
But
at
here's the
is
problem. You got a
who was around
generation.
him. Who was he? You know what I mean? It was instituted. I mean, it was introduced to him on other levels, some kind of way, and he got, he took the bait.
But you got
I'm
a
just
generation of kids who don't think spiritually like we do. They not looking at this stuff as evil. They're not, and that's where the conversation needs to come in at, because I'm just looking at it as I'm making music, not real like prime example. One of my favorite songs, we talked about it before, Scarface, No Tears. That's my song. Can rap the whole thing. But when I listen to that song, say something crazy to me afterward. Probably gonna slap the hell out you. And that's probably where it's going, because that song triggers that in me. Kids don't look at it like that. They don't see it as having a spiritual connection. They don't understand frequencies and all of that. All they see is I'm good at what I do. I know how to put some bars together and it sound good. People cheering me on. Now I got to come up with a gimmick for it. Now I got to stand out. I got to make a video that's going to pop. They're not looking at it from our level.
So you saying he might have progressed in it on his own versus being introduced to some stuff because he was
It,
trying to make a name for himself.
just try make it. That's what a lot of these kids do. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to chase the bag. They see it as, let's go even further than that. You remember when I did the video on the love spells, this generation doing love spells?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm,
In
mm-hmm.
their mind, they don't see it as, oh, you know what? If I conjure up something that I cannot control, because demons don't have allegiance, when that spirit is done with whoever it went to do whatever to, it's coming back to me. So I could get that 10 times over, whatever it did. See, they don't think that far. All they think is, oh, if I put this honey in this jar with this and that and this and that, I can make him love me forever. They think they stuck in a fairy tale. They don't live in the same reality because nobody's teaching them reality. The world is a stage. Everything is a stage. You see it with baddies, and now that's TV. Everything is a stage. Everything these kids do from the time they wake up in the morning is lights, camera, action. You wake up out the bed, you got to take a picture, you got to post it. You get up and get dressed, you got to post your outfit. You go get you something to eat, you got to post what you're cooking. You go outside, it's everything is like they don't see the ramifications.
They don't see it because they're blinded by handlers. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
There's like on the
Gatekeepers, gatekeepers.
like on those shows.
Mhm.
Like there's a process to get on baddies. You have to sit down at the casting couch. Then after the casting couch, they got other people that it's kind of like they're programming you. They're screening you and programming you at the same time to make sure you're gonna follow the script. So um, even with some of some of the more prominent rappers, you don't get like Lil Baby was on that boat with them billionaires. You don't get to be on that boat overnight. There's a process you got to go through, and so
Hmm.
you've handled, and they're not gonna. Of course, if I'm trying to lead you to a certain place, a destination, I'm gonna make. I ain't finna let you know outright what I'm doing, and um, so yeah, there's yes, there are those because they have that desire, because they don't have that identity, because they come from nothing, you know, they're going to be handled and directed in the subtlest ways to go that route. And this guy, uh, T Hood, especially that T Hood down there in Atlanta, you know, he
Uh-huh.
probably, even though he probably wasn't affiliated with a lot of the, the TIs and uh all the other ones that's the known ones down there because it's a hotbed for Atlanta's one of the premier spots for rappers. So of course, like you said, he had to find his own gimmick, but along the way of him finding that gimmick, I believe there were those who were like, okay, I ain't saying what you should do, but I suggest you might try to do something like this. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, to get to that spot.
I want to say this. When a person shows you who they are, believe them. And this is a perfect example. Let me throw my receipt out there. First of all, we have watched Kirk and Rashida throughout all the years build around nothing but toxicity, nothing but toxic chaos, arguments. They even got part of Love and Hip Hop, which is all about drama, chaos, arguments. This is all they about. So T Hood started dating someone in that area, and now he got part of the toxicity. Because I could just imagine how these new rappers feel once they sign that down on that dotted line, and then that first thing that make their face winch up like, what? You want me to do what? I can just imagine. So just anytime that you are part of chaos, That's all you're going to see is chaos and toxicity. That's all you're gonna see. That family is made out of that. They making money off of that. So just imagine what comes with that.
I feel
Definitely,
you.
and kind of pairing with what Zach was saying, like where were the handlers? When you pose the question, oftentimes, where are we going wrong across cultural lines and in this country? We're going wrong from the instance of what we've all been saying in the chasing of the bag, being in love with money. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong
Mhm,
with having money, but the issue is
mhm,
when you love money. As the principle clearly says, when you love money, that is the root of all evil. And individuals are loving money so much that these individuals are overlooking helping their family, their friend, their lover, their husband, their wife from falling into situations such as these because it said that they were dating. So if they were dating, I'm pretty sure that this is not the first time, just on an assumption that this type of thing happened and no one attempted to help. No one said anything. No one said, hey, maybe y'all should pause. Maybe y'all should see someone. Do y'all need to talk about it with a third party? Whatever the case may be. But no, I can't say that because if I say that, then my money flow over here, then that'll stop. So I just pretend like I don't see it.
mm,
Okay, that's a
mm.
thought.
Yeah.
So here's some speculation, right? It says the video that he did with the ghost sheet on with the blood around his eyes, making the statements that we discussed. It said it sparked rumors and whispered theories. Some view it as coincidental foreboding, others as oddly self-fulfilling, just him doing what his music say he do.
Hmm.
His partner, dating at the time, Kelsey Frost, which is the daughter of Kirk Frost and Rashida, um, took to social media to plead for respect and clarity, stating she was being attacked by people creating weird and sick rumors and defending herself amid scrutiny. So we're going to get into that as well. But again, it just made me think about when I saw the picture of him in the ghost outfit. And this ain't the first time we've heard about, like I said, rappers almost predicting their own unalivings or death.
Yeah.
It's not the first time we've heard that. So it just makes us wonder, like, how much are we shortening our lifespan because of things that we are doing and speaking over ourselves? Just
Yeah.
period. From the young to the old, even if you don't know better. I remember when I was young, my mom always told us when you pray and ask God for forgiveness, you ask Him for forgiveness of sins of omission and sins of commission. She said
Hmm.
you also pray for those things that may be sins that you don't even know are sins.
Yeah.
I don't think we take out the time as a people to sit back and understand what we don't understand. You know what I mean? To stop
Yeah.
and think about, there used to be a saying, what would Jesus do? What happened to that saying?
Yeah.
We don't stop and ask no questions before we do what we do because it seems like we're in a day and age where everyone's just impulsive. I'm just going to go
Mm,
and keep going. If I think about it, I want to do it. If I know I can do it, I'm just going to do it. And I'm not stopping to think about the fact, how could this affect me in the long run if I make this decision? Because we always have freedom of choice. We don't always have freedom of consequence. Just like in this situation, everybody made a decision in this situation. And we really don't know who all were
mm,
involved, but we're going to get into some of the allegations.
mhm,
So the allegation, Kelsey set him up. That's allegation number one. Now the claim is that she allegedly called her brothers after the dispute that led to the, sticky icky icky that happened. The response is she denies it completely and she says she only called his mother. So she's saying she never called her brothers, but the word on the street is that she did. Otherwise, how did the brothers get there? Now that's the question. Again, this is allegation, this is speculation. Three sides to every story. Yours, theirs, and the truth. Right now, we have one side of someone saying she set it up. She made the phone call to her brothers. That started this chain of event that ended in this tragic situation. The other side is her saying, I ain't called my brother to show up. I called his mother and told his mother what was going on. But then that would leave the question, how did the brother get there? Now, the second allegation is the brothers were the shooters. Her brothers allegedly confronted him. No official evidence or arrest, rumor level speculation only. We don't know who was detained. So, in all honesty, even the fact of both brothers being there and their involvement is all speculation. We don't know. All we know is somebody was shot. We don't know which brother it was. We don't know. It's speculation. It's he said, she said, and everybody's just talking. This is why sometimes it's best to kind of stay away from a story until all the facts come out.
Mhm.
I got a question. If Okay, so we're just going to go by the claims because we don't know if this is true or not. But if she says that she denying what was going on about anything, okay, that's fine and dandy. But why would you call his mama? When you call 911 first, then try to contact a family member or something, why call the mom? And then from what I read, the police came, was called in a whole nother place where the mama was at. Then they had to, contact the police. So why? That's question number one. Why wouldn't you call 911?
Mm.
That's the question. Because, we have a culture now that says that you don't involve 911. The problem with that is you can see the police however you want to. At the end of the day, there's good police, there's bad police. But we don't have our own police. So in messed up situations, you still got to call the police. If you choose to take matters into your own hands and stuff like this happens, then you literally set yourself up for this to happen because you didn't use the proper means. You didn't. You called the police after the fact. After this boy got holes in his body. That's when you decide to call the police. And again, let's remember, maybe the police wasn't called because it was only a dispute. It was not abuse. That was never stated. We don't know. Everything is allegations. Everything is speculation. Everything is hearsay. Everything is allegedly. Because the police haven't released any facts. There hasn't been any body cam footage released. There hasn't been any news footage released with conversations with people who were on scene. None of this has happened. Only one person has been detained. They had a discussion with them. They haven't even said if this person is arrested, if they're facing charges. They haven't even released a name so that we would know it was one of her brothers. We don't know.
And that in
It's
itself is
all alleged.
why it's all alleged. And this is what's feeding this this machine of speculation and opinion as facts because they haven't released anything and they're keeping it on a low profile. So that's what's feeding the that's what's feeding all this.
Right, because people creating their own narratives in their head based on what they're hearing and not paying attention to the facts. And I wish I could play it on here, but YouTube be tripping. But
Yeah.
in that scene in Law Abiding Citizen,
Oh
it
yeah.
says it's not what you know, it's what you
It's
can
what you
prove
can
in
prove.
court. You
Uh-huh.
cannot
Mm-hmm.
prove assumptions. You can't prove those. You can know all day that your baby daddy slashed your tires and busted your windows. You know that Negro did it. You have no, because you ain't had no issue with nobody else. You don't live in a neighborhood or have people in the neighborhood randomly having their tires slashed and their windows busted out, and y'all just had an argument. You can know all day that he was the one that did it. Guess what? When the police show up, Without proof, there's nothing they can do. It's
Mhm.
not about what you know, it's about what you can prove. And right now, everything that's been said online is hearsay. They couldn't even go to the judge with a search warrant based off hearsay.
Mhm.
Okay, and you know what? I agree with that part. So let's go with a fact. Why has there not been a news conference? You know, a lot of these times when a lot of our melanated men get violated by the police, there's a news conference. If something happened to an officer, there's a news conference. The Grady over in Florida, when stuff go down from some ST to anything that's happening with to the children, to drugs, to whatever. He has a news conference. Why has there not been a news conference? How about that?
Why has there not been a news conference? Why was everybody not taken down to the police station to be interrogated? At the end of the day, I watched too many interrogation tapes. If unless that girl gave up, unless Kelsey gave up everything that actually happened, and there was no need for them to take her down for an interrogation, and they're just not releasing all the information. But if that's the case and they only have one person detained, that don't make sense either. But again, all we have to go off to is the narratives that's being put on social media, because we don't know. We don't know if both brothers was there. We don't know which, we don't know. All we know is what his sister is saying, which we're gonna get into, and what Kelsey is saying, and the allegations that's floating around. All of, but that's it. It's an allegation. It's not factual. Another thing that was put out there is that the parents were hiding the brothers. That after it happened, Kirk and Rashida pulled up around the corner and picked them up. This has not been confirmed. It wasn't confirmed by the police. Otherwise, if that's the case, then they are part of this case too, because that makes you an accessory after the fact.
Another reason
And
why
I
it's not a
can't
news
see them
conference.
being that dumb to risk everything, even if they did build it through love and hip hop. I can't see them risking everything to make a dumb decision like that.
Mhm.
See, one of the things that we can say truthfully, and it's based off facts, is one thing is for sure, two things is for certain, is that money will look out for money. And at the end of the day, we hope that this thing go the way that it should go, and that every guilty person that is inside of this story would receive the consequences of being guilty. But I think about the instance of, I know that we all remember it when the young lady said that she seen the baby on the side of the road. Now, for all intents and purposes, because of the way that that story went down, that young lady should have spent some time in prison. One, for wasting time and taking it away from someone who could have potentially been saved that night, who had no one to be there for them to protect and serve them because they were following a fictional story. But the thing that made the difference was this young lady came from a family who had money, so it changed the narrative. That's the thing, and that's what's going to make the difference, possibly in this case as well, because we see it happen time and time again. If it was just some random person, this story probably wouldn't be going the way that it is right now, with individuals not being in an interrogation room. Because how does that happen? It happens because nine times out of ten, money gets to skip the process.
Mhm.
Amen. I totally agree. I totally
Mhm.
agree with that one.
Yeah.
Money talk, bullshit walk, what? A marathon. Yeah, pretty much.
So this is a post that Kelsey made. Due to everybody accusing her and the narratives put out. She said, first off, I've been advised not to speak up by plenty of parties. Exactly. She should have just shut up. We are in such a day and age where I gotta prove it. I gotta prove it. Sometimes you gotta sit back and say, if you think 2 plus 2 is 10, so be it. So be it. We gonna let the court decide otherwise, because if you were instructed not to speak, why are you speaking?
Right.
Because you can accidentally on purpose by accident release information that wasn't meant to be released, or release information that could jeopardize the case because you wouldn't shut up. But no, we're in a day and age where everybody got to say something. I got to speak up. No, you need to shut up. You
I
involved in
second
this.
that
You don't need,
emotion.
you got the right to remain silent. They tell you that before they question you. Anything you say and do can be used against you in a court of law. They tell you that, and y'all keep talking. Keep talking. But she said, I can't sit back and let this narrative be being created go on. The love of my life is gone. The man I lay with and cuddle every night, every single night, is no longer here. So, as I want to ask for respect and privacy, I won't, because I will always defend my baby. I don't condone this ish in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I am sick to my stomach. I don't wish this on anyone. My brain is all over the place. This is a total nightmare, but I'm going to get this off. I don't even have time to grieve or say my respects in the right manner because I am defending myself being attacked by people who are creating weird and sick rumors. I'm not good at talking, but I would love to give insight and let the people who love him in to get understanding. I don't have the right words, but I want to keep typing while also respecting his family and his loved ones. Hold on, it's
Mm.
gonna skip to the next one. But still, she should have shut up and not said nothing. Nothing at all. Because you in the middle of a murder investigation and it was your siblings. You was at the house. So whatever happened, you just be quiet. So she says, please stop listening to people who weren't there. And this is the big thing. Now I gotta agree
Mhm.
with you when you're right. Stop
Yeah.
listening because we don't have the facts. We do not have the facts. The only people who had the facts, the person who pulled the trigger, this girl, Kelsey, because she was there, and the young man who's no longer here. Those are the individuals with the facts. Listening to all these rumors and conspiracy theories will get nobody anywhere but just following a false narrative. I hate I have to even post this, but I won't let y'all bully me and put the blame on me, making it seem like we
Hmm.
weren't one. I ain't ever fathomed no ish like this. I love my man with my entire heart. Sending me threats. I am grieving too. I am hurting too. I didn't harm anyone or ask anyone to harm him. I didn't call for anyone to come help me. I didn't ask for this. I would never. My baby was still healing from being shot 3 times. We handled our business in private. I am livid also. I didn't call my family for help. For one, I'm the only girl, and I know we would be right back together that same night, if anything. I don't involve my folks in our business. I didn't call a brother. I didn't call anyone but his mother. That's my baby. I don't care who's involved. I don't condone this. I am not okay.
Now that last part is what make it questionable. I don't condone it. So what? So that leaves a lot of questions. What do you mean you don't condone? No matter what happened, like you really putting it out there. You know something, and that's why you should shut what they call the hell up, because you leaving mysterious questions on behind with some of the things that you are saying.
So she did say, I don't care who's involved. I don't condone it.
Mm-hmm.
That statement to me sounds like she knows who's
Hmm.
involved and
Was
she's
involved,
letting it
and
be
I didn't tell
known.
him to do it.
I didn't tell him to do it. I don't condone what happened. But then it would have to bring up the question, how they get there. Were they already there? How many people were actually in this house? How did this take place? How did this argument start? It even makes me question, was she even the one in the dispute? You know what I mean? Like, was this a dispute between her and T Hood? Or was this a dispute between allegedly her brothers who potentially might have been there and T
Hmm.
Hood? It's just so many questions.
Hmm.
So many
Until
questions. How did it start? Who was all there? Who was in the house? That's what's gonna let us know. Because if it was just her and T Hood in the house, and your brothers just show up, yeah. Well, how they get there if you didn't call?
Right. Why
And
is his
Kwame
name?
reminds you of big homie Quan around that time when that happened to him. It's like at this point it's starting to be a pattern of these stars, you know. It's like we gonna get rid of who all we get. Like it's like what is really going on? It's just too many patterns of the same incidents. If it ain't water, it's electricity. If it ain't this, it's like too much going on.
But at what point do we sit down and we had a conversations of about what more do you want? Like at the end of the day, once you reach a certain level, you made it. What more do you we see more and more it with T.I.'s son, these celebrities' children who are involved in some of the craziest stuff. It's like you there. You got money, you got a name. What more do y'all look for? When is enough enough to say, you
Never.
know what? I'm at a place right now where I've reached a certain level. Now I just want peace. I don't want chaos and trauma.
See,
Wow, this is
But
deep.
we that yeah, that's just my thing. I just don't know. Cause like you said, Nisi, every time you turn around with these celebrities, it's something. It's something new. It's
It's
something
always
else.
something. You either shot, you done got drowned, you done got electrocuted, or it's a seance, it's this, it's that. Oh, he break this, or they boom boom pow pow. No, it's too much. It's always something. Lately, y'all cannot say y'all have not really heard of a death where a celebrity died at just of natural causes.
Right.
I'm just saying this is now we already then found out lately that our little childhood have been destroyed through a lot of these little celebrities who we done trusted in growing up singing their little song. Then we done went back and sing the songs and we should have not been saying that. That's enough within itself. What more do you think we can take as a people from this collaboration they call Hollywood? Like what else?
Yeah.
Now the
Everything
thing
is
is,
toxic. They're not teaching family. They're not teaching. They teaching you how to beat each other ass. They teaching you how to pull hair. They teaching you how to do all that. But they're not. Where's this family dynamic at? Where's the heroes? Where is I need a hero? Where's that at?
They get, they if that's not the program right now. That's nowhere near the radar of because that gives a glimmer of getting back to of being unified as a people, as being unified in your own self-image. They don't want that. That's nowhere on the program. I mean, those of us who know on a small scale, we just gonna have to plant seed and pray that it grows because if we're looking at it, if we're looking for it for them on their where they're at on their level, it's not gonna go. It's not gonna come because it don't fit the program.
and one of the things, and I understand the outrage of our where we are here, all of us, and all of those who may peek in on this story. But at no point in time, even though people somewhere down along the line may have thought that that would be the case, that would changing the zip code would automatically mean that you have class or that you subscribe to a certain level. That's not the case. The more you get, especially in the instance of money, it magnifies who you really are. So these individuals, when these things happen 9 times out of 10, this is not a new story. This is just a story that has been magnified. And 9 times out of 10, if you were a super hoe, respectfully male or female, you get more money, that's going to increase. If you were an a hole before you got money, that's going to increase. The thing that we fail to do culturally across cultural lines is prepare before we get the thing that we say we want. This individual, all he knew is that he wanted to come up, he wanted to flex, or whatever the case may be. And when thinking, man, I need to prepare not just to get there, but to get there and to be able to stay there and not die out how others did before me or to misstep how others did before me.
I think that's a important conversation. One of the things that I think about with this day and age and this instant celebrity that we have going on, where you don't have to go to school. You back in the day, I remember actors going to Juilliard and musicians
Right.
going to Juilliard and going to school to really learn their craft. We're in a day and age where you don't have to learn a craft. You're getting paid and getting elevated off your gift. So we have a lot of people who are gifted and they're being elevated off their gift at young ages. So we looking at 16, we looking at 17, we looking at babies being
Mhm.
elevated off their gifts, but they're not given any direction of, okay, you can walk through this door, but this is what you need to do when you get there. What are you doing with your money? What are you doing with your time? What are you doing to create your own self-image so that you're not a carbon copy? Because just as fast as these instant celebrities rise, they fall just as fast because the mind of the people is fickle. One
Mhm.
minute they want this, when the next best thing come out, they're on to the next best thing. So as Progressive said, how do you prepare for that? And how do you prepare a young generation for that next level when all they're focused on is the right now? I need to get the money now. I need to do something now. I
Mhm.
need to think about right now, but nobody's thinking 5 years from now.
Mm-mm.
What do I want in 5 years? Do I still want to be rapping about this topic? In 5 years, do I still want to be seen as a girl that just shake her ass on TikTok and Instagram? What is my 5 year plan? There's no mentors, there's no leaders, there's no role models, there's nobody for these young people to look at and say, okay, this is my next step, or this is how I avoid this trap, this is how I avoid falling in this ditch. They don't have that. All they have is, I don't want to struggle the way I saw my mama struggle, the way I saw my daddy struggle. So they're trying to defeat struggle with no direction. Like
From
mice in a
what I
maze
see,
searching
oh, go
for a
ahead.
G. Go ahead,
From what
Nisa.
I see, from what I see growing up out of these celebrities, when they first come out with hey, back in the day used to be tapes and CDs. When they that first tape or that first CD or that first album was the bomb. You know why? Because there was that struggle and they was working hard to get where they trying to get. Then so you might get a couple of celebrities who had a second song, second album or whatever that was all right. But soon as they got into that comfortable life, the cars, the glitter, that's all they rapped about. They weren't struggling no more. So the songs weren't what they were when they first started. That's what I seen. Like them first CDs and first albums, hell yeah, they hit hard because you going through that yourself. But then once they get into the big houses and get the cars, they ain't rapping about what's really going on no more. Then where does that lead you to?
I hear you. Zach,
Mm.
do you have anything to add?
Oh, not right, not to that point.
Oh, okay. So the individuals that you see on the screen, Kurt and Rashida. Now, Kurt and Rashida, when I was introduced to them, of course, it was on Love and Hip Hop. And they were married, supposedly had this, loving, solid relationship, a couple that the other people on Love and Hip Hop looked up to. And these are the parents of Kelsey, who is the girl that we just watched, the post that she made, who was in a relationship with T Hood. Now, T Hood's sister has spoken out in this situation. And she said, and again, this is why we talk about speculation. She says, Frosted K, which is Kelsey, set my brother, and again, this is all alleged. We're reading what she posted
Mhm.
online. Set my brother up. She had her brother pow pow him and say she didn't know he pow powed my brother 5 times in the back and stomach and chest. They cleaned it up and hid the brother so the police wouldn't find the weapon or him. It says this is the other brother, the one who said his ankle hurts. He pow powed him also, but left the scene before the police came. He also stated that his sister called him to the property for help. So, according to this post, she is saying that both of the brothers allegedly pow powed her brother.
Mm.
So, one shot him and then the other. This is allegedly. Again, I don't know how she has this information, whether she has it from the police, whether she has it from one of the brothers, whether she has it from, I don't know who she has it from because she was not on the scene. So,
Oh,
um, go ahead.
I was just finna throw a speculation. She's his sister. Did she go get his phone from his property?
That could be one too. They if they picked up his how long does it take for them to release the property? Do they do that right away or is there how does that work in murder investigation? Do y'all know?
That I don't know.
They be keeping your stuff. They keeps that phone because that's evidence. They keep that phone because it's part of the investigation.
Yeah.
And if they, and let's say that did pop off like that. Let's just say allegedly that popped off like that. First of all, everybody's phone should be confiscated. And the people who was there, you see, she said she called the mama. The mama phone need to be confiscated too, because everybody's phone has to be looked at to see their conversations to see if there's any information in there leading to this man being pow pow.
That's factual. That's one of the things that kind of makes me feel like something missing with the case
Yeah.
because the police are really, like you said, Nisi, they real hush hush on the
Yeah.
details of this case.
Mhm.
And I feel a
Mhm.
lot of it has to do with the fact that this is a celebrity, quote unquote, situation because Kurt and Rashida are celebrities, which naturally makes their children celebrities because of them, as well
Amen.
as T Hood was a celebrity because he was a up and climbing Atlanta rapper,
Mhm.
which a lot of
Mhm.
people liked. And so
Mhm.
so this is a celebrity case all the way around, any way you look at it. So
And there is no secret that Atlanta is full of number celebrities with money. And
Yeah.
it's no secret that they're prosecuting their DA. All of this because it's been put on national TV. So this is not hearsay. This was on national TV. They have a lot of scandal going on in Atlanta. So it's
Hmm.
like we watch this and then we turn around and this type of thing happen. I mean, Kurt and Rashida is the king and queen of love and hip hop Atlanta. Everybody is really based off of them. Why? How do we know that? Because they put that on the floor at their reunions. So all
right.
I'm saying is, it don't take a rocket scientist to start putting 1+1 and all these other numbers together because numbers don't never change. Come on, let's keep this 100. We've been watching this. No, I
Yeah.
can't. We can't keep on burping the baby. Oh, little baby, where you gonna burp, little baby? Where you go? We just can't keep burping the baby and sweeping stuff up under the rug. No, it's time to come on. Let's keep it real.
And see,
Hmm.
that's the thing that really makes me say, ooh, because it's like, baby, come on now. I watch too many interrogation, and now that's not to say that interrogations aren't handled differently, but why would this be handled differently than anything else? You have a young man that's unalived. You have somebody who unalived this young man, right? So they unalived him. Why wouldn't you take everybody down to the police station to make an official report? to
Right.
make an official statement on what happened.
Because they're
Put
trying to
everybody
clean up
in
something.
different rooms so that
Mhm.
you can get to the bottom and make sure that everybody's statements actually match.
Some in the milk ain't
See,
clean,
because
okay? Some in the
again,
milk ain't clean.
it's because I believe that money, again, when you have the right amount of it, takes precedence over what will happen to someone who potentially is quote unquote middle class and or lower class income. Now, the difference between the Frost daughter and possibly Keisha from off the block, when situations like these happen, Keisha would then be booked, then taken down and placed in an interrogation room. When it happens to a daughter Frost, talk to my lawyer. See the difference? And it's not no regular lawyer. It's going to be a high powered attorney. And they're going to decide whether we want to wrestle with the attorney or if we just want to play it by ear and then proceed when we have all the receipts. And that's what usually happens. Factual.
You know
Facts.
what I
Or could it
forgot
be an
about the
order?
attorney?
Or
I
could it
forgot
be the
about
other
the
way
attorney.
around? You know how people believe in sacrifices. Is this what's going on? Because you know some people believe that. Or is this their humiliation ritual? Or
Right.
what's
Come
real? What
on.
is going
Come on.
on?
Yeah, they're trying to get to that other level.
But wouldn't you have to be on a level to sacrifice somebody to get to another one?
Listen here, they got so many different ways
Yeah.
they doing stuff. It's beyond reality. It's stuff we don't even know.
So, y'all, now, when you was talking about the frost, right? So there has always been drama surrounding the Frost family. So
Hmm.
the first drama that we saw with the Frost on Love and Hip Hop was when it came out that Kirk cheated on Rashida. Number one, why would you make that a storyline on the show? Like that is some of the most diabolical stuff because we're not talking about a created reality. This is actually people lives.
Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
broadcast this whole family breaking down on live. But see, that's what money do. That's why they say the love of money is the root of all evil. Because you'll do
Hmm.
anything. Because why would you even agree to have your family hurt and pain broadcast for the world to see? That's crazy.
Mm.
But the girl on the right is the girl he got pregnant. Now, if anybody remember the whole scene, there was a whole scene on Love and Hip Hop where Kurt and Benzino went to a cabin
Hmm.
and was allegedly jacked. And if I remember correctly, Niecy, let me know if wasn't Bambi also at that
Yes,
cabin?
Bambi was on her thotty thot thot thot. Yep, yes she
So
was.
it really confuses me as to why, because ain't Bambi and Rashida cool?
Yes, they are to this day.
Okay.
See, that's why I
So
say
why
all of that
wouldn't
ain't number
Bambi tell
toxic.
Rashida? Why wouldn't Bambi tell Rashida about what happened at the cabin if they've been cool all this time? I've always thought about that. Like,
Like Zach
Bambi,
said,
you
they
was
all got
there. Why didn't you
agendas.
tell her?
Hmm.
Yep, they all got agendas. Everything is about a storyline. Like they ain't had no business telling about this little extra lady on the side because at the end of the day, it seems to me like Rashida was down with it anyway. Because I didn't see no emotional breakdown, all that little fake shit she had going on. Come better than that. The disappointment
So
was not real.
everybody gotta save face because you doing this on live television. So I gotta
Mm-mm.
save face and keep it demure and cutesy because this ain't baddies. This is love and hip hop. So I can't flip out and start destroying the whole house for the world to see. So I gotta put up a front to make people think I'm strong enough to handle it.
And
And
now
on
look what
top of
done
that,
happened.
there's a lot of people who don't. Some people believe in marriage so much so that the idea of it failing or being irreparably broken isn't something they can deal with. So they'll stay in situations instead of walking away from it because They believe in marriage and they don't want to let the marriage go because they see it as a failure. And I think that's a lot of what happened with Rashida. I don't put this out there like we the perfect family or we a power couple, all of this. I can't walk away and let you disrupt everything that I built.
I feel like she been playing the game of Zynga for far too long. Her tower done fell.
Well, no.
It's unfortunately it's this survivalist mentality where, like, to what you were saying, Empress, in so many words, I got to survive by any means necessary. If that means me, for all intents and purposes, selling my soul or the soul of my family for me to survive, I'm going to do it because individuals place this value in things and stuff and money. And on the real, I can only imagine where a person is in that moment when situations such as these happen when you get to that point. Because you're saying to yourself, man, well, if this happens, if I don't change the narrative and kind of roll with it, or at least switch it to fit a narrative that will make it lucrative for me, then all of this could crumble. Then I'll be back in that old house that I first started in, possibly going to punch a clock at a job that I really don't like, and whatever the case may be. And that's not me advocating for the behavior, but this is some very real thoughts that happen and creates a survivalist mode because people fear returning to where they were. Because at the end of the day, if those people they look back on it, they realize they didn't do the work properly to get up the ladder. So now when they get pushed back down without those resources that they had to get up, now they got to get it from scratch, and they can't handle the reality of it if it falls down.
Yeah. I
It's
don't
a
I don't
cause
think
and
Rashida
effect.
will ever leave her. I don't think she'll ever walk away.
Huh, you ain't gotta walk away. You gotta go see if this didn't happen for real, girl. You gotta go see the peoples. It's time to go to court. You can't
But
walk away.
now the son allegedly that's involved is allegedly his son and not her son. Even though when you're married, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
But even without this happening, I don't think Rashida would have ever left Kirk, no matter how toxic it got, because Kirk is where the bag is at.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the more toxic the storyline is, the more camera time you're going to get for the story.
And if
So
they
a lot of
using this
times
for
these
a
celebrities
storyline, they
feed into it.
foul.
A lot of times celebrities feed into it because
Mm,
they
mm,
need the
mm,
storyline. In order to be on these shows, you need a believable storyline. Now,
mm, mm, mm.
I just don't want to believe that no matter what I feel about how trashy Kirk may be or Rashida, that they would use this situation as a storyline. I don't believe that. Personally, for me, I believe that these are children who have not been taught emotional intelligence. And I always say, whenever there is a gun involved, when anger happens, you're automatically going to reach for something to get a person to back up off of you. That the body is not, your adrenaline is naturally going to make you want to get somebody up off you, out your face, da 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 da. It don't matter. If you got a weapon, that's the first thing you're going to grab for. I think this is a situation that went horribly wrong. I don't think it was conspiracy to unalive him. I don't think that. Could it have been possible that she called her brothers absolutely, because girls do that. If you got brothers and you got a Negro, but that's why real parents would tell you stay out of your sibling stuff because they're going to be right back with them and they're going to be mad at you. That's why they tell you to stay out of it. But a lot of times,
Mhm.
this generation don't do it. Even our generation, a lot of women don't do it. Man say something slick to you, the first thing they doing is calling their brother, calling their uncle. Now your brother and uncle is in a situation. Because now what if this person feels like they got to defend themselves and they pull out a weapon? Now your loved one is gone and you made the phone call. I want to say I saw a video like that on, was it Instagram? A while ago. A girl called her brothers to go to this dude house. The brothers car themselves gonna run up in the dude house. The dude came to the door blasting, laid them all down in the front yard. So you done lost all your brothers because you called them to handle your dispute instead of calling the police. But again, this is allegedly. We don't know. This is
And
only
just like you
hearsay.
said,
She not
Champagne.
speaking and the police not.
Mhm. And just like you said, Champagne, you just can't go off what people say. You also just can't go off things off just emotion. Just because you emotional about stuff, because I do, I get emotional about certain things I hear and see. But just because I'm emotional doesn't mean that it didn't happen a certain way or it didn't happen that way. So a lot of times we have to go keep our ear to the streets and see what's really going on. Because this is just the beginning. And it's going to be a lot more that come out. But at the end of the day, these people got too much money to be getting involved in something like this.
And I would hope they would have. I would hope they're smart enough to not have done what the allegations are saying. Like they picked them up to take them away from the scene. I just want to believe. I just really do that that's just an assumption of what happened and not factual. Because to risk everything that you spent all these years that you've been on Love and Hip Hop, everything that you've done before that, Rashida had music before that. I just don't want to believe that these two individuals, even though they might have done some dumb stuff in their life, would do something like this to destroy everything. They still got little children. I just don't want to believe that they would do that. And that's just me. That's just me. But when it comes to our kids, sometimes we don't think. And on top of that, right now Rashida also has a thing going on online before all of this hit, where her and K Michelle. Now I know for some of y'all was probably trying to figure out who the other woman was on the screen. That's because K Michelle changed her face and she almost don't even look like herself. Cause I was looking for pictures and I said, K Michelle, who? I had to look closely because she done did some surgery. But they've been having a whole thing online. Um, K Michelle did a concert. She did a diss track tour, Rashida. Now, if you don't know where this whole beef started, this is another beef that started on Love and Hip Hop. And it started because K Michelle has come out several times to say in a past relationship she was um assaulted by her ex. Now apparently Rashida knew who the ex was, and Rashida came out on the show and said she didn't believe it was true. K Michelle got offended by it, and they've been at odds ever since. So a lot of people are saying instead of Rashida focusing on K Michelle or anything that K Michelle has going on, her number one focus right now should be her daughter and these kids. This is really just a lie. At this point, just shut it all down. Every time you turn around, it's something. It's something. Why can't you just y'all, because I
Champagne,
don't
that really K Michelle. This K Michelle right there. This did the cowboy country stuff she was trying to do make her do this? Like, what is enough on the cut? Like, mm, mm.
well, for some of them they say it's almost like tattoos. Like once you get one, you got to go for more. It's almost like an addiction.
Oh my Lord Jesus.
And she was a pretty girl
Mm.
before, so I don't even know
Yes. Her color didn't
what's
change
changed.
and everything.
But now this is the song that K Michelle did during her concert, which was a diss track to Rashida.
Rashida got back. Her husband's a girl. Her career is over. All over the world. Bad lady. She's a pro. Leave her husband out.
Hey, Michelle is a different kind of petty. Now this is the how should I say it? This is a prime example of if we got beef, we beef forever. Because this beef has been going on forever. So my opinion, Rashida don't have time for this. That at this point, let this go. Any beefing, the whole thing with K Michelle, these kids, technically they're not. I think everybody involved in this was like, over 30, but still, they still back. This is so sad to me. And it's sad that we keep seeing time and time again these situations with these young people. This is sad. This is sad because we don't have emotional intelligence. We don't know how to step back and communicate. That's why we had the the other day, and we was talking about toxic culture, and we were talking about the art of communication within a relationship and understanding when the situation is getting toxic and you need to back away from it and walk away from it. That's why we talk about that during Tokyo and toxic culture, because this could have been resolved by somebody just walking away and by the other person just letting him walk away. It could have been resolved. But when we start making phone calls, when we got to get our point across, when we do too much, this is what happens because we don't know how to control ourselves. This is what happens because we don't teach our children how to have self-control.
That's right, Champagne. That's right.
Know when to walk away. I'm the type of person, I'm not an arguer. I don't argue because I know my temper is horrible. So that's why I strive for peace. But I don't argue. I will walk away in a minute. Nope, not doing this. No, I ain't got nothing to prove to you. What am I standing here arguing with you for? For what? You feel like you right. I feel like I'm right. What's further to discuss?
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
these
that
are the
picture
conversations we should have.
that
What you
picture
say,
that
Nina?
that picture that they in right here. Now look at this picture. Don't he look like a little demon? And then don't you see she doing that little ass stuff? See, see. It ain't what you do, it's how you do it. And sometimes a picture can speak 1,000 words. I'm just saying, and I'm not just saying this is what's going on, but we're gonna say allegedly. Look at the picture they done took.
But they don't see nothing wrong. We're at an age where some of us pay attention to everything. I pay attention to what's said in the music now, because when I was younger, we was just listening to the beat and the hook. We could have cared less about the
Mhm.
words for real. I'm at an age now where I pay attention to people, places, and surroundings. Anywhere I go, I'm paying attention. This generation isn't. They're impulsive. They're just having fun. They don't think about the outcome until the outcome happens. Sticking up your middle finger, that's cool. It's done on social media. It's done in the videos. It's done in the movies. That's nothing harmful. That's just playful. Everything. That's why you hear people on social media and they say we don't take nothing serious because we don't. We don't. And that's really the sad part. We don't take it serious until we need to. or until it's too late.
Mm.
And that's why we need to start having conversations. If you have children, if you have nieces, if you have nephews, you need to start having conversations with them now, absolutely right now, about how to walk away. Walking away does not make you a punk. Matter of fact, you need to have conversations with your young ladies about them learning to let these men walk away. Because let's be honest, too many times we've seen stories with these young girls and the men are trying to walk away. They trying to leave, but no, we big and bad because somewhere in our mind, we feel like I can do whatever I want to do to a man and he should be able to control himself not to put his hands on me. Are you cool? Are you cool? But this is what we teach our young ladies. So you have so many young ladies where the men just trying to walk away. Let me walk away so this don't escalate. And you jumping in the door, you pulling on them, you swinging on them. Not saying this is what happened in this situation. We're speaking in general. But at the end of the day, we need to start having some real conversations with our young girls, with our young boys. Learn how to walk away, learn how to let them walk away. Learn to know yourself so you know when you're going to a level that's almost beyond no control. Because half of us don't know ourselves. We don't know at what point we finna go from angry to penitentiary chances. We don't know that because everybody's just going with the flow. We let stuff escalate and don't stop it because we don't have any self-control. We don't have any emotional regulation skills to step back and say, you know what? Yeah, this ain't gonna be resolved right now because both of us are too angry. Or better yet, you know what? We're getting too angry. Let me tell you something. When me and this guy I was dating, we would argue. And baby, when I say argue, like it would get ugly. So one day I said, we're gonna create a safe space. The safe space wasn't an actual place. It was just like we use our little safe word when stuff getting heated. And when we use our safe word, let's say my safe word was pineapple. Let's just use that. That means we need to go into a place mentally and emotionally to have this conversation in a judgment-free zone. So when we take our conversation to our safe space, our safe place, I listen to you when you're talking without interruption. And I'm doing everything that I can to hear exactly what you are saying to me so that I can understand what your concern is. After you're finished, then you listen to me and what I have to say. And you're doing everything that you can, not listening to respond, but listening to hear the heart of what I'm saying. So that we can figure out how to come to a mutual understanding about what we're having conflict about. We don't take the time to step back and really assess what we're really having conflict about because we're too busy trying to be right and we're too busy arguing and we're too busy fighting. And by the time we realize it's gone too far, stuff like this has happened. We see it time and time again. On Champagne Secrets Reacts on the other channel, we did the whole video on the husband and wife that was arguing for 2 hours on the stream and ended with her being unlocked. He kept asking her to walk away. She kept pushing. Excuse me, let me give it some water. Hold on, y'all. She kept pushing, and at the end of the stream, what do we see? Chaos. Phone shake, go black. Next thing we know, she's unalive, he's unalived himself because nobody stepped back and said, you know what? This is getting a little bit too heated. I don't even need to be right this bad. My peace is more important than this argument. We got to learn how to walk away. So those are really my thoughts. We're going to do I'm going to do a full video on this breakdown with my thoughts in it as well. But this is sad. This is sad. Y'all, in a minute, we're not going to have no young folk. 30 to me is still young. 35, 36 to me, that's still young. That's still young. You still got so much life to live at 30 and 35 years old. For your life to be irreparably broken, damaged, and gone over a split second decision and a bad mistake, a bad decision made on your part. That's sad. I just want to say, rest in peace to this young man. I will continue to look up the details, the facts of this case, so that we can present the facts and understand what happened factually with this case. I'm really hoping this doesn't end up being a storyline on Love and Hip Hop. Some stuff should be off limits. It really should. I understand it's reality TV. Y'all follow these people's lives. I get it. But some stuff to me goes too far and it should not be used as a storyline. It shouldn't even be allowed to be used out of respect for this boy, for this boy's family, because at the end of the day, her family is on Love and Hip Hop. Her family has the platform. His family doesn't. He doesn't.
Amen.
So I'm really hoping this does not end up a storyline on Love and Hip Hop. That's tragic. And if it does, and I was his family, I would sue. I would sue.
Totally.
Because he
Totally.
don't have a voice represented on that show. She do.
You know.
He don't.
So you
So
can
you can
spin
spin
whatever
whatever
narrative
narrative that you want to
buckle up,
in the absence of him.
buckle up your seatbelt because 9 times out of 10, this will end up in the storyline. And definitely the family probably will pursue a civil suit and they'll pay it off and the machine will keep rolling. The only way that this cycle that is clearly repetitious will stop is if all of the parties included end up being locked up, in my opinion. To be able to A, teach a lesson, and then two, to be able to shut down the machine. But again, even with that, if there's a platform for them, even if they by 5 trans all got locked up, they're going to come back out, get back on the platform, and then they're still going to tell the story anyway because they're chasing the money by any means necessary. It's a survivalist mentality. I gotta have. No matter what type of person it's making me, no matter what it's doing to me spiritually, physically, mentally, I just got to have it. I gotta survive. I can't go back down to the bottom of what they deem to be the bottom without understanding what for a lot of people, when they had less, they had more.
Factual. Nisi, you got any
Yeah.
final words?
My final words is it's time to pay more close attention to your family, the people around you, instead of drama and chaos. I feel like that is nothing but a distraction and people paying for it. It's just going too far and beyond. I think there's more better other things to be thinking about and worrying about than to be worrying about love and hip hop and what other people got going on. Times are hard right now.
Absolutely. Progressive, any final thoughts?
No, nothing outside of we need to change the narrative. And how does that happen? It begins when it happens person to person. If you, me, others themselves take the initiative to be your best self individually, that will help to change the world and get the spark started, because there's no way for you to be striving for your best and not run into individuals who are trying to do the same thing. Then you all link up and then you change the world together. But as long as you're unchanged, you can't change nobody.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, man, learn how to walk away and learn how to let people walk away. Learn how to understand when a situation is going too far. Learn how to identify when a situation is getting toxic. It's okay to have a disagreement. Disagreements happen in relationships. It's okay to have a dispute. Disputes happen in relationships. It's the it's when you allow those disputes and disagreements to become toxic that bad things start happening. So learn how to identify when it's getting toxic, even if the toxicity is coming from you yourself, so that we can stop seeing stuff like this because this is really sad. Thank you for joining me in the Champagne City for Champagne Conversations. Everyone who watched, everyone who liked, everyone who commented, everyone who came up on the panel, thank you. Consider joining the Champagne Gang and the Fizz Fam. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified when we jump into whichever sector we jump into for another show. If you want some other content to check out, please go to the home page and check out my VIP lounge, which has our brother channel, Father Locke's Horror House. To pronounce it, I had to enunciate it so it wouldn't sound like whorehouse. And also my other channels that are on YouTube as well that are in the Champagne City. Go ahead and check those out as well. Thank you again for joining me. And always remember, if it doesn't cause you to elevate, it's causing you to depreciate. Now raise those glasses, clink, and let's drink till we speak again. Ta ta.